Moving on, we come into the period where Portnoy left the band to tour with Avenged Sevenfold when their drummer passed away. After that, he decided it was time to take a break and put this to the other guys who were keen to keep going, so they ended up parting ways.
Good riddance. To have the gall to leave your passion project to play in some other shittier band, then come back and say, hey guys, let's just stop. It's like, dude, they were stopped the whole time so you could go on with the young guns and feel relevant again. It's not their fault you're exhausted. He's just another fucking self-absorbed Long Islander. Much like yourself, Donald.
Wow, what an insensitive thing to say.
Coming from you, that's rich. Why don't you come and grab me by the pussy, you fucking coward?
What the fuck did I say, you two? We're looking at the first of the Mangini era, 2011's dramatic turn of events.
We've done the research. Everybody knows it. This garbage fire of a fucking album is a sad attempt to harken back to the absolutely wonderful images and words. They literally just copy-pasted the arrangements track for track to ensure the fans that they were still with it after Portnoy left. What an insult. How the mighty have fallen. That's all I have to say about this quote-unquote album, besides the fact that it's obviously D tier. I'd put it in F.
But unfortunately, there's a certain album that came after that was against all odds, even worse.
You okay there, big fella? Sounds like you just inhaled your Diet Coke.
This, along with the self-titled, was my introduction to the band, and it brings back many pleasant memories of my vice presidency. Plus, Myung is riding again here, which is a great thing.
Bridges in the Sky, On the Backs of Angels, and Breaking All Illusions have since become bona fide DT classics. So I'll give it a high B tier. Sure, it lacks the thrust that Portnoy brought, but it's actually quite well done given that whole situation.
In a way, I really feel like Portnoy's influence held back the band. Weaving contemporary influences like Muse or U2 when they were fresh was purely his initiative. And I thank God we don't have to be subjected to his awful, brutish backing vocals. Dude was taking too many liberties in him. This album is a return to form. Polished, considered, well-made, A tier.
If this bland CD goes in A tier, I will personally storm the Capitol and shit in the Great Rotunda, because that is what you're effectively doing to this country if you put this crap in A tier.
Well, between us, I think it looks like C tier is where this belongs. Happy?
Nope.
Great, moving on. In 2013, we got the self-titled album, which I actually quite like. I think the boys did really well, and it has some of the best tracks in recent years. I never get tired of Enigma Machine, and come on, Illumination Theory is in the same league as Count of Tuscany. Just breathtakingly epic.
Fucking what? Overproduced to hell. Those gated snares and hollow toms make me want to kill myself, and the guitar tone on this album is like wet fucking cardboard.
The Enemy Inside absolutely shreds. It does what it says on the box. It's straightforward and serious. I give it a solid A tier.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. The reason America is in such a sorry state is because the sitting president's first Dream Theater album was the self-titled. Yeesh.
You've got to start somewhere, Jack, and Amp. This album fucking claps.
Yeah, it shits in its own hand and then claps. F tier for me, boys. This is shocking. To claim you're a progressive band but not do anything remotely of the sort since 2007 is a bit rich. There's no growth here. In fact, this is an album of decay. The lyrics are just plain awful. This album is sans personality.
Cool story, bro. I think it's a solid B tier.
We all happy to place it in C tier.
Is there a tier below F that I can put this in to bring its rating down further? Seriously, this album is an insult to the legacy of a once great band. This was the final nail in the coffin for me. Anything that follows this is just the putrid stench of a rotten corpse.
That was metal as fuck, Donnie. I'll pop it in D tier, okay? Now, in 2016, we got the concept album, The Astonishing.
Oh, God, here we go. Jesus, what a clusterfuck of an album. Way too long and full of itself. I will say, though, that it is at least astonishing in one regard, astonishingly bad. The story is more confused than Joe here at a press conference.
I'm sick and I'm tired. Hey, Corn Pop was a bad dude. And everybody knows I like kids better than people.
I rest my case, ladies and gentlemen, people of America. If you want more astonishings, then please vote for Biden. This is what happens when you put a man-child like Rudess in charge of a project.
It takes one to know one, asshole. We all know that Portnoy was the real man-child of the group. This is an uplifting and well-written tale about struggle, triumph, and growth.
Nah, bro, it's just a needlessly more convoluted version of 2112. This meandering mess is an indictment on all things good and pure in the world.
You'd know all about indictments then, wouldn't you, Chief?
Talk to the hand fuck nuts.
What I know is that a grade schooler could have written a better sci-fi story than this. The bad guy is called Lord Nefarious, for Christ's sake. Seriously, the only thing about the power of music this album teaches us is what happens when that power goes unchecked. You get an arduous, insulting experience that wastes everybody's time and leaves us dumber and more confused than when we started. The mark of a good musician is knowing when not to play, and the jackasses behind this nightmare clearly missed that memo. This doesn't even deserve to be in the same fucking list as Images or Scenes.
I'll admit that this probably didn't need to be a double LP. I can see what they were going for, and I've enjoyed what they've done with Mangini, but this album isn't one I, or anyone I know for that matter, readily goes back to. Plus, it might have the worst album cover of all time. D tier.
Thank God, I really was starting to lose my mind there. Can you believe these lyrics? People just don't have the time for music anymore. And no one seems to care. My friends have seen The Chosen One. A quest for freedom has begun. Are you fucking serious? How did 5 grown men sit down and agree on that? I could have written something better as a goddamn kindergartner. It's just not good enough.
Even I'll concede that this isn't their best work. Probably D tier.
Just to keep Donnie on board, we can stick it in F, considering none of us rate this one. That brings us to 2019's Distance Over Time, which I see as a return to form.
Anything's a return to form after the astonishing. Seriously, this album gets points straight off the bat just for not being its predecessor.
The thing I like about this album is that it's somewhat raw, less overthought than anything else post-Portnoy. At Wit's End goes so fucking hard, not gonna lie.
True that, and Out of Reach is genuinely beautiful.
It's dream theater by numbers at this stage. One thing the astonishing has over this one is that it at least creates an emotional reaction, even if that is one of blind rage. Distance Over Time is as beige as its cover. D tier.
This album still has just as much musical prowess as any other Dream Theater record. Untethered Angel is as masterful as ever, and one of their best singles in years. The songs are shorter, more focused. The sound is one of cohesion. Definitely Mangini's best since joining. And I love the dark, deep purple vibe, especially on Viper King, B tier.
It's perfectly listenable, but nothing really grabs me on this one. I think the return to a more metallic blueprint served well here. Pale Blue Dot's actually pretty decent. It's hard to surprise anyone when you've been Dream Theater for 35 years. But damn if they can't play as well as ever. I'll give it a B tier.
Gay.
All right. Finally, we have 2022's A View from the Top of the World. This album has the alien. Enough said. A tier.
They won a Grammy for this, and it's easy to see why.
Please. So safe, so goddamn safe. A guarded album from a frightened band. This shit is so bland at this point that they need to just stop. Seriously, guys, you had a good run, but you're steadily eroding any good grace and karma you once had as a band by proliferating this shit. Everything here we've heard before, literally. It's not even worth making a list as to where we have, because there isn't anything slightly original about this.
Open your ears, dickwad. I think Mangini just goes from strength to strength as he cements himself in the Dream Theater universe. On that note, the title track has earned its place in the prog epic pantheon. I like this one because There's no bullshit ballads. Just a solid 70 minutes of good old-fashioned Dream Theater, with James putting in a particularly strong performance on this one. I'll give it a high B tier.
There's a nice nod to Rush on Transcending Time as well. That feels a bit different. Awaken the Master is great too. You can tell they were just having fun in their own studio. And a relaxed but tight album is the result.
I never thought I'd be making a point for a Mangini-era Dream Theater album, but here goes. There is at least something to this album as opposed to all of the other Mangini filth. But even then, it's not enough to dig Dream Theater out of its self-imposed hole and adds nothing new to the equation. I'm going to hate myself for it, but give it a low, low C tier. I just hope they stop before embarrassing themselves further.
The sound is quite polished here, and despite being a bit familiar, isn't a total retread. Still, if I were to give it an honest rating among the rest of their discography, I think a B or, let's say, a C tier will do.
Oh.
Well, thank God that's over. I'll be the first to say that Dream Theater fans are the worst, and that you Mangini simps are the worst of the worst.
The fucking hubris of this man.
Fuck's sake. This is why we don't do tier lists via committee. This B tier is more bloated than Donny Boy after his evening Big Mac.
Fucking lol.
I think we need to rethink our strategy. I say we allow no more than 4 in any given tier bracket.
Infinity in A tier, there I said it.
Well, if you're doing that, you better swap Dramatic for Change of Seasons.
Bro, that's still 6 in B tier. We need to choose 2 to slot elsewhere. My vote is Black Clouds to C and maybe 6 Degrees to A tier.
All right, fine, but you're going to need to put another one in A tier, and my money's on falling into infinity.
Fuck no. Keep this man out of my kitchen and let me cook. All right, Brock, this is how it's going down. 6 Degrees goes in A, that's fine. Dramatic replaces Change of Seasons. Black Clouds joins it in C tier.
Ain't no way Dramatic is going in the same tier as Awake. Push Scenes to S tier, Awake to A tier, and fuck Octavarium is head and shoulders above Dramatic. Put that shit in B tier at least.
Hold up, guys.
And Christ, at least give Infinity a B tier. I'll even say please.
Stay out of fucking B tier. I'm dropping distance over time to C tier, and that's that.
But Barry, there's still 5 in C tier.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Well, fuck, I guess we do put Infinity in B tier.
God damn it, fine. Happy?
The art of the deal, baby, gets them every time.
You're a real piece of shit. You know that?
You know, I actually think we made a pretty decent tier list here.
If I had my way, I'd put all
Donnie,
the
shut the fuck up. We're done here. No more.
Well, thank God that's over. And thank God they came to their senses and rehired Portnoy. And this is the best trade deal in the history of trade deals maybe ever. Good riddance, Mangini.
We'll see if Mike can keep up with Mike. Personally, I think Mike is better than Mike. Mike will have a lot to prove now that Mike has left. Good luck, Mike. And to Mike, I say, the world is watching. Hope you don't shit the bed on this one.
Right. Well, that concludes our Dream Theater tier list. If you boys are keen, I'd love to reconvene when the new album drops and see how we feel about it.
You got it, fella.
Sounds good, boys. Until then,
See you after the trial, shithead.
eat it, pansy boy. If the Mangini story is anything to go off, it means that cheaters never prosper and good always prevails in the end. See you in court.
And scene. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we wait with bated breath to see what Dream Theater do next. With 30 years since Awaken, but 25 years since Scenes, we could be in for some incredible performances from our beloved DT. Let us pray that the world, that dream and day, can unite for a brighter tomorrow. Namaste.